In her final year of A-levels, Jessie Reynolds fell for a rugby player. The rugby player forced her to smoke in the toilets and slapped her in front of other girls. She accepted it willingly, and her grades plummeted. Fearing that this scoundrel would ruin her future, I repeatedly urged her to stay away from him. But she turned to whisper intimately to the rugby player, "I'd rather be used and tossed aside by you than be cherished by that nice guy." On the eve of A-level exams, she abandoned our promise to attend university together and secretly went to a cheap hotel with the rugby player. Meanwhile, I cast aside my feelings for her and set my sights on the most prestigious university in the country. Ding! Story Shots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. I think my childhood sweetheart has fallen in love. She daydreams in class, a secret smile playing on her lips. She often rests her chin on one hand, pen poised in the other. The nib scratches softly across her diary, spelling out someone's name. I sneak a glance. The name she's written is Freddie Lloyd, a sharp name just like the person it belongs to. Freddie Lloyd is notorious for being a troublemaker at school. He's arrogant, wild, like an untamed beast charging across the football pitch. 3 days ago, this beast accidentally kicked a football into my childhood sweetheart Jessie Reynolds' head. At the time, Jessie and I were walking past the pitch, discussing a challenging maths problem. The football came out of nowhere, striking Jessie on the head. Jessie cried out in pain, glaring angrily in the direction it came from. That's when she saw Freddie Lloyd jogging over. Freddie was drenched in sweat, his curtained hair looking fresh and stylish, his handsome face wearing a carefree grin. "Hey, cutie, you all right?" He seemed to have a habit of calling girls cutie. Jessie froze, staring at Freddie's face and physique, her cheeks suddenly flushing red. She quickly lowered her head, about to hurry away. Freddie's smile turned flirtatious. "Why are you running? I won't eat you. Add me on WhatsApp, we can play football sometime." Jessie stopped, fumbling for her phone. Just like that, they exchanged numbers. I stood there silently, feeling like a pitiful fool. For 18 years, Jessie had never blushed in front of me. Even when I mustered up the courage to confess my feelings, she just burst out laughing. "Calvin Carter, do you really think you can handle me? Sorry, but I like bad boys who are cocky and domineering, not sweet and gentle guys like you." Yes, I was too gentle with her. I'd liked her since we were kids. The way one loves a pet cat, always wanting to stroke its fur and feed it the best treats. I thought loving someone was like tending a flower. I wanted this flower to bloom beautifully, carefree and worry-free. But she didn't bloom for me. Perhaps Jessie really does love that sharp, domineering bad boy type like Freddie Lloyd. And me? I'm not bad. I'm actually quite good. The bad boy quickly asked Jessie out to play football. They played all afternoon. Jessie didn't return to the classroom until halfway through the after-school club. Swallowing my bitterness, I cautioned her. "A-levels are coming up soon. You can't neglect your studies." "Oh, you're so annoying. This is why I don't like you. You can't make my heart race, understand?" Jessie looked exasperated. I shut my mouth. Jessie rummaged through my desk drawer. "Where's the cake I asked you to buy? I haven't had dinner yet." I took out the Pikachu cream cake I'd specially bought from Kensington earlier that evening. It was her favorite cake. Whenever she wanted it, I'd go to Kensington to buy it, no matter how busy I was, even though the round trip took an hour. She ate the cake without a care, not sparing me a glance. After the club ended, she hurried off. I walked back to the dormitory alone. On the way, a roommate caught up with me and tapped my shoulder. "Cal, I just saw Jessie go over to Freddie Lloyd's class. They were hugging and stuff by the door." I faltered mid-step. Although I'd expected it, I hadn't thought their relationship would progress so quickly. I nodded and said, "I see." My roommate clicked his tongue. "Jessie really doesn't know how to appreciate a good thing. Cal, you've got great grades, you're good-looking too. I can't believe you'd lose to a scumbag like that. Is he really that bad?" I didn't know much about Freddie Lloyd, only that he was rumored to be a troublemaker at school. In my world, there was only Jessie and studying. I'd even planned out our future together. We'd get into a Russell Group university, pursue postgraduate studies, maybe even doctoral degrees, or start a business or join the civil service fast stream. But it seems this future was always just my one-sided dream. You don't know about Freddie Lloyd? He's a notorious player. From year 11 to year 13, who knows how many girls he's messed around with. In year 12, he even got a girl pregnant. He's also a hooligan, getting into fights and drinking outside of school. Even dogs avoid him on the street. My roommate clearly despised Freddie Lloyd. I frowned deeply. I thought Freddie was just a troublemaker with poor grades. I hadn't realized he was so despicable. I turned around to go find Jessie. When I found Jessie Reynolds, she was humming a tune to herself, walking briskly along the school path. The evening breeze played with her hair, making her look youthful and radiant, as dazzling as the stars. She had been my unrequited love for over a decade. I forced a smile as I approached her. Jessie looked at me quizzically. "What's up? Aren't you heading back to the dorm?" "Jessie, do you really know Freddie Lloyd? He doesn't have a good reputation," I said, getting straight to the point. Jessie rolled her eyes. "Not this again? Why are you so bothered about my relationship? I don't owe you anything. We're just neighbors, not engaged or anything." Her words felt like a stab to my heart, but I still tried to warn her. "Freddie's a player. He's had many girlfriends. He smokes, drinks, and gets into fights. You shouldn't." "Enough," Jessie snapped, glaring at me. "You think I don't know what kind of person he is? Let me tell you, just now, he pulled me into the gents and made me smoke. I was coughing and tearing up, but he just laughed. You think I was upset? No, I loved it. I even opened my mouth so he could blow the smoke into it." Jessie blushed slightly. "I thought it would be disgusting, but it was actually thrilling. I never imagined I'd do something so naughty." As she spoke, her anger faded, replaced by embarrassment. I stared at her in disbelief, clenching my jaw. "Why are you doing this?" My voice was hoarse and shaky. Jessie scoffed. "Because I like it. This is the kind of love I've always wanted. Freddie makes my heart race, makes me blush. I don't care how much of a bad boy he is." She paused, a small smile playing on her lips. "In fact, I love that he's a bad boy. I don't want some boring nice guy. That's no fun." The nice guy she referred to was me. I stood there frozen, my eyes downcast, my fingers trembling. A bone-deep sadness washed over me. "That's it then. Stop bothering me from now on, or I'll never speak to you again." Jessie warned me before excitedly leaving, still savoring the taste of smoke. I watched her go, then stumbled back to my room in a daze. Finally, with red-rimmed eyes, I used all my strength to suppress the ache in my heart, crushing the bitterness into dust. In the early hours, I had a dream. I was playing basketball on the court, cocky and invincible, with Jessie cheering for me. Then I dreamed I was smoking and drinking, with a dragon tattoo on my arm and bleached blonde hair. Jessie loved me even more. She said I finally made her heart race. But I woke up with a start, shaking my head vigorously to banish those dreams. I could be lost, but I couldn't lose myself. I'm not Freddie Lloyd, and I don't want to be Freddie Lloyd. I have my own path to follow. After dawn broke, I took a cold shower and rushed to the morning assembly. Jessie was late again because she'd gone to bring Freddie breakfast, only returning to class after watching him eat. I didn't want to deal with her. I buried myself in my studies, preparing for the upcoming A-levels. Jessie was pleased that I wasn't bothering her. She took out her phone to text, using her textbook as a barrier between our desks. Partly to prevent me from peeking, partly to hide it from the teacher. I had no interest in peeking. In the increasingly sweltering summer, I took step after step towards my dream university. 28 days before the A-levels, Jessie Reynolds was hit. When she returned to the classroom, one side of her face was swollen and bruised, her hair disheveled, and her eyes brimming with tears. I remained silent. She sniffled and spoke. "Calvin, it hurts so much." Her long-awaited words made me pause my pen. I remembered that since childhood, Jessie always came to me with her troubles. When her toys were snatched, she'd cry and ask me to get them back. When someone ate her crisps, She'd cry and tell me to steal someone else's ice cream. When her parents scolded her, she'd crouch beside me in tears, saying it hurt. Perhaps after 18 years, I had grown accustomed to listening to her complaints, so my heart instinctively tightened a bit. Indeed, bad habits are the hardest to break. I didn't look at her, just uttered an "oh." Freddie hit me. He lost his football match today, and when some other girl brought him water, I just asked about it. He suddenly got angry and slapped me. So many people laughed at me. Jessie looked pitiful, tears falling onto her textbook. Then why don't you leave him? The A-levels are coming up, and your parents are hoping you'll get into a good university. I responded casually, flipping through my book. Jessie remained silent. I pointed at the blackboard, where 28 days until A-levels loomed like a mountain over everyone's head. Jessie glanced at it and finally nodded. Okay, I'll focus on studying. I don't want to think about Freddie anymore. I want to go to university with you. This statement made my heart relax a bit, and a slight smile appeared on my lips. I still wished the best for Jessie after all. A bad habit from loving her for over a decade. I chuckled softly, focusing on a maths problem, entering a state of deep concentration. When I finally solved it, there were few people left in the classroom, and it had grown dark outside. Jessie was long gone. I exhaled with satisfaction, wiped the sweat from my brow, and headed to the toilet. One problem had kept me occupied for a full 2 hours. The toilet was empty, but after I entered, I heard rustling sounds coming from the furthest cubicle. It sounded like someone undressing. A familiar and shocking female voice drifted out like a dream. Freddie, you're so naughty, insisting on coming here. I haven't forgiven you yet. Baby, don't be angry. I was just upset about losing the match when I hit you. I'm apologizing now. Come here and give me a kiss. Oh! My body went cold, my limbs stiff. The momentary shock brought endless confusion and sorrow. It tore apart my last psychological defense and trampled years of my gentleness and thoughtfulness into the dirty mud. Trampling hard, grinding mercilessly, I retreated, extreme discomfort making me retch twice, the acidity in my nose stirring the bitterness in my eyes. It was painful yet hard to express. Freddie's voice came again. Why so soft, babe? Want another kiss? Say something naughty. No, it's too embarrassing. Jessie protested weakly, her voice barely audible. Come on, say it. Talk about Calvin Carter. Does he like you? Is he all gentle and caring? Such a nice guy. Huh? Why don't you love him? Freddie's voice was full of mockery. Jessie didn't answer. Freddie squeezed her neck. Answer me, or I'll choke you, Jessie panted, both ashamed and excited. I only love you. I'd rather be used up by a jerk like you than be the darling of a nice guy like Calvin Carter. Ha. Well said. That's hot. Freddie gloated proudly. I stole the wife of the top A-levels achiever. It feels so damn good. Jessie was embarrassed again. I'm not his wife. It's exciting because you are his wife. Quick, say it, you're his wife. I want to kiss the top achiever's wife. Freddie pressured her, slapping Jessie hard. Jessie cursed shyly. Fine. I'm Calvin Carter's wife. Ha. I walked out of the toilet numbly, blood flowing from my mouth as I opened it. My teeth had bitten through my lip. I stood in the corridor, staring intently at the cherry blossom tree in front of the school building. When the cherry blossoms bloomed, their pink petals were like a sea of cotton candy, the scenery Jessie Reynolds and I loved most. She once pointed at the cherry tree and said, Calvin Carter, this flower is more romantic than you. You're just a soft-hearted failure. Haha. But if I can't find someone I like for my whole life, I guess I'll have to marry you. Are you swearing on the cherry blossom tree? I asked, quite hopeful. She nodded. Yeah, I swear. No choice. I might have to marry you in this life. Her words were always careless, but she didn't know I had memorized them in every cell of my heart. I turned around, staring at the toilet like a savage wolf, fixating on the gradually darkening entrance in the twilight. It looked like an abyss, a nauseating abyss. A man's growth indeed happens in an instant. And a bad habit like love can be broken in a moment, even if it has lasted for over a decade. I took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. The blood on my lips had stopped, and the ache in my eyes had been driven away. I just stared at that sickening abyss. Finally, Freddie Lloyd and Jessie Reynolds emerged hand in hand from the abyss. Both looked flushed and satisfied. Seeing me, they were startled. Jessie stiffened, her pupils constricting, and she unconsciously took 2 steps back. Freddie looked a bit awkward but quickly changed to an air of indifference and smugness. He grinned at me brazenly and walked away with Jessie. Jessie followed, step by step, looking at me uneasily. As our eyes met, mine showed only disgust and hatred. She seemed to notice, slowing her pace, her face full of conflict and hesitation. But she couldn't say anything to me anymore, as Freddie forcefully pulled her down the stairs. At the stairwell, Jessie pleaded meekly, "Wait, let me talk to Calvin for a bit." "Talk about what?" "I want to smoke. Go buy some outside the school. Make up an excuse. The security guard will let you out." I applied to the form tutor to change my seat. I moved to the position furthest from Jessie. This way, I could focus more on preparing for the A-levels. I worked day and night, nonstop. Occasionally, when I raised my head to drink water, I could sense someone looking at me. The gaze from the original seat carried unease and guilt. But I had no time to care. A note was passed over. "Calvin, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say those things. I was just joking with Freddie." I crumpled the note into a ball, threw it in the bin, and warned the classmates around me not to help pass notes anymore. I built a high wall around myself, isolating the once unreachable her. Finally, there was only 1 day left before the A-levels. The prelude to midsummer had already begun, with the chirping of cicadas outside the window and the sweat-soaked uniforms marking a heavy stroke in the years of youth. This stroke would determine the fate of many people. In the blank space of my textbook, I wrote Cambridge heavily. And Jessie was probably still writing Freddie. The last time Jessie Reynolds came to find me was on the eve of our A-levels. She stood at my doorstep, her figure obscured in the dim glow of the motion sensor light. I was returning from after-school clubs and spotted her standing there alone from afar. A feeling of disgust welled up inside me. If I didn't have to go home, I wouldn't have approached her. As I slowly walked over, Jessie waved at me. "Calvin, you're home too." I gave a non-committal mm. She smiled awkwardly. "Calvin, I've been thinking a lot these past few days. I know I went too far. I couldn't find a chance to apologize at school, so I came to your house." She watched my expression carefully. I shook my head. "No need. Get some sleep. The A-levels start tomorrow." Jessie bit her lip, troubled. "Can't you forgive me? Can we still be friends?" "No," I said firmly. Jessie was taken aback, looking at me in surprise. Perhaps in her mind, as long as she came to apologize in person, I would forgive her. So, in the past 20-odd days, apart from passing me a note once, she never actively sought me out. All her attention was focused on Freddie Lloyd. It was only tonight, as she was heading home too, that she impulsively decided to find me and formally apologize. Then I would forgive her, and we'd continue being childhood sweethearts. I would still regard her as the most important person in my heart, willing to do anything for her. Unfortunately, that's no longer possible. "Do you have to be like this?" I came to apologize in person. "Can't you be less petty?" Jessie was annoyed, her brows furrowed as she looked at me with a hint of resentment. She used to look at me like this before. Whenever I made her angry, she would huff and glare, waiting for me to coax her. I always gave in. This time, I held my head high. "Yes, I am that petty." Jessie gritted her teeth, truly angry now. Freddie was right. You bookworms who only know how to study are all so small-minded. She berated me freely. "After 18 years, you're still not like a real man. You're like a bitter wife, holding grudges for so long." The more she spoke, the angrier she became, frustrated by my refusal to yield. "Look at Freddie. He never stays angry overnight. He's so magnanimous and cool. And you? You're such a sissy. It's annoying." These were her true feelings. the true feelings she had held for 18 years. I laughed self-mockingly. Someone as sissy as me indeed doesn't deserve Jessie. She's selfish and willful, spoiled and unrestrained. She's perfectly matched with a good-for-nothing like Freddie Lloyd. I wish you and Freddie an early child, I said with a calm smile, unperturbed. Jessie was speechless. She turned to leave, but after a few steps, she looked back. Of course we'll have a child soon, because tonight I'm going to a small hotel to sleep with Freddie. I don't care at all about tomorrow's A-levels. There was a sense of vengeful satisfaction in her tone. She was waiting for me to panic, to beg her not to go to the hotel, to plead with her to take the A-levels seriously. She always knew how to manipulate me. I suddenly remembered that she had once promised to go to university together. But she had long forgotten that, and I no longer wished to remember. My heart turned to stone. Whatever. The next morning at dawn, I set off early for the exam center. However, Jessie's parents stopped me, anxiously asking, "Calvin, have you seen Jessie? We just discovered she's not in her room." I paused, knowing that Jessie had indeed gone to the small hotel with Freddie last night. She had given up on the most important A-levels. For a scumbag, she ruined her life. I remained calm, shook my head and said, "I don't know," then continued on to the exam center. From this moment on, the fates of different people would diverge dramatically. I would aim for Cambridge, soaring like an eagle, adorning my youthful dreams on the crown of life. As for Jessie, who knows? Who cares? After the A-levels ended, I let out a long sigh of relief. My performance was perfect this time, as if I was blessed by the A-levels achiever, writing with divine inspiration. I was confident I would get into Cambridge, becoming the second student from our school in 5 years to enter this prestigious university. My parents were overjoyed when they heard I was likely to get into Cambridge, grinning from ear to ear. They immediately bought good wine and food, and our family celebrated with laughter and cheer. My mum, being quite nosy, started to bring up my love life. "Once you're at university, you can start dating. If you and Jessie were to get together." My mum was halfway through her sentence when my dad nudged her to stop. "Don't mention Jessie. I heard from her parents that she's gone off the rails, hanging out with ruffians all day. It's infuriating. She probably won't get into a good university." My dad had heard some rumors. My mum was shocked. "Really? How could Jessie, such a good child, have gone astray?" As soon as she finished speaking, Jessie's parents rushed in. They came in asking, "Calvin, have you seen Jessie? She's run away from home." I shook my head. My parents hurriedly asked what had happened. Jessie's mum wiped away tears. "Jessie went to a hotel with some ruffian the night before the A-levels, causing her to be out of sorts for the exam the next day. She said she wouldn't be able to get into a good university anyway, so we shouldn't expect anything." Jessie's dad continued, "I was furious and hit her. In a fit of anger, she locked herself in her room without eating or drinking. We only discovered she was gone when we called her for dinner just now." My parents listened in shock. No one could have imagined that the sweet little girl who used to follow me around would fall so far. "What are we going to do? It's a disaster. How did my daughter become like this?" Jessie's mum broke down crying. Jessie's dad gritted his teeth and left to search for her. 3 days later, I finally heard where Jessie had gone. She had gone to the city center with Freddie for a summer job. Claiming it was a summer job, in reality, they were just eating, drinking, and having fun. When they ran out of money, they demanded her parents transfer more, threatening not to come home otherwise. Her parents compromised and, after much persuasion, finally convinced her to come back home at the end of June. After all, the results were out and she had to see them at least. I achieved my goal, getting into Cambridge with the top score in the city, which shocked everyone. My parents couldn't stop smiling and immediately took out £3,000 in savings to host a formal dinner party with 30 tables at a restaurant, inviting guests from all around. At the party, I saw Jessie. She sat in a corner, glued to her phone, smiling as she scrolled. Clearly, she was still in the throes of her romance with Freddie. Seeing me, Jessie's mum quickly nudged Jessie. "Jessie, Calvin's here." Jessie looked up, our eyes meeting. I calmly nodded. She pursed her lips and casually said, "Congratulations, I guess. You've made a name for yourself with your studies." Jessie's mum anxiously scolded Jessie. "What kind of attitude is that? Calvin got into Cambridge, and what about you? Just a lousy further education college. What are you so proud of? Is Cambridge such a big deal? I just don't like people who only know how to study. They're so boring," Jessie said loudly on purpose. She was still angry at me, because I wouldn't forgive her. This was rather amusing, as if I were the one who had done something wrong. After the formal dinner party, I left home early. I couldn't wait to step into the most prestigious university in the country, even though there was still over a month until the start of term. My family wasn't particularly wealthy, but because I had been accepted into the University of Cambridge, the school had given me a scholarship. A local property developer had also awarded me £10,000 and a flat. So now I was one of the wealthier among my peers. I first rented a room near Cambridge to fulfill my desire to be close to the esteemed institution. I must say it was truly exciting. After term started, I was even happier. The sweat from the orientation activities washed away my naivety, while the captivating courses filled my once empty mind. At this institution where the nation's top students gathered, I managed to maintain my position without being pushed to the margins. I progressed steadily step by step. I became a rising star, confidently speaking at various seminars and becoming my supervisor's prize student. I also attracted some exceptional female students. They were talented, visionary, and carried themselves with a positive and cultivated demeanor. For the first time, I realized how ridiculous Jessie Reynolds was. I often wondered how naive I must have been in my youth to cry over Jessie Reynolds. During my postgraduate studies, I found love. Her name was Lucy Mills, a local from our city and the top A-levels achiever in our county, while I was the top in the city. We had known of each other for a while and had seen each other a few times at university. I was drawn to her intellect, and she to my gentlemanly manner. We just hadn't spoken up. After all, true love isn't something you can easily express. It wasn't until we were assigned to the same supervisor during our postgraduate studies, often working together, that we finally held hands. She was 5 feet 5 inches tall, with fair skin that had a rosy glow, and dimples when she smiled. I always liked to poke her dimples, and though she would playfully scold me each time, she always laughed happily. Lucy and I were inseparable. However, we both had grand ambitions, so we decided to start a business during our free time as university entrepreneurs. After analyzing the market, Lucy thought cross-border e-commerce had potential, and she had relatives in the industry who could guide us. So we ventured into cross-border e-commerce. We worked at it for 2 years. Perhaps because we were quite clever, in just 2 short years we achieved some success, with an annual income of nearly £100,000. I specifically shared this joy with our supervisor, who raised an eyebrow and said, "That's average. You have several senior schoolmates who are already earning £100,000 a year. Cambridge graduates shouldn't stop there." These words motivated me, and Lucy and I were determined to make a name for ourselves. After completing our postgraduate degrees, our annual income reached £200,000. Lucy decided to continue with doctoral studies. Her reasoning was simple. She wanted to keep a backup plan. "The business is fairly stable now, and you can handle it on your own. I'll pursue a PhD and then apply for the civil service fast stream. This way, our family will always have a safety net," she said. I looked at her sideways and said, "I think you just want to be a civil servant because it's easier." She giggled. "Being a civil servant is great. In the future, we can collude. I'll attract investment and you can invest comfortably. It's called complementing each other." This girl. And so we planned our future. I left academia and dove headfirst into the business world. Lucy continued climbing towards higher academic achievements. During this time, we had a love child. Caught me a bit off guard. I asked Lucy, "Should we keep it or not?" She covered her belly and glared at me. "What do you mean? You're not thinking of getting rid of it, are you? Even if you could, you can't get rid of my baby." She wanted to keep the baby. This wasn't uncommon among doctoral students. Having a baby while pursuing a PhD was doable. I hugged her without saying a word, just nodding firmly. This baby, we're keeping it. I was 26 when my son was born. At the same time, my company was officially established. Before that, it had been just a small studio, nothing formal. The staff at my company referred to my son as the little boss. I was the big boss. Lucy gave our son the name Bert Carter. Bert represents the cypress tree, strong and steadfast, calm and reserved. Carter represents a gentleman, refined and cultured. I asked Lucy why she chose this name. She replied matter-of-factly, "After you, of course. Both names are after you. You're like a cypress tree, a true gentleman." I was taken aback, my mind briefly flashing to someone from my past, now a faded memory. I teased her. You know, some people think cypress trees and gentlemen are a bit soft and boring, not cool at all. What? Who's that stupid? Lucy couldn't understand. At my level now, I couldn't understand either. Perhaps only Jessie could understand. It's funny how life works. What you discard as worthless, others might treasure. When Bert was 2, my company in London had finally stabilized, with an annual income of over £3 million. My parents were getting older and kept urging me to bring their grandson home. I had been back over the years, but always in a rush, and I'd never brought Bert home. I discussed with Lucy about taking Bert back to my hometown, with the possibility of investing in local development. Lucy had no objections and even asked if I wanted her to come along. "If you're busy, you don't need to come. After you finish your doctoral studies, we'll go back to my hometown and have a grand wedding celebration." Lucy and I were already legally married, but we hadn't held a wedding ceremony yet. She nodded. "All right, you go first then. Give my regards to Mum and Dad." I took Bert back to my hometown. My hometown had undergone significant urban development in recent years, changing so much that I couldn't recognize some areas. Back at home, my parents were overjoyed. They took turns hugging and kissing Bert, too excited to even think about cooking. Despite his young age, Bert had a proper and graceful demeanor, with a calm temperament like mine. "This little lad is so handsome. Look at his bearing, he's bound to be successful in the future," my dad praised repeatedly. Of course. Calvin is so successful, how could his son not be?" My mum boasted proudly. During dinner, the little one ate quietly, occasionally glancing at his grandparents, utterly adorable. As my mum chatted, she mentioned the neighbors. "Oh, they're in such a terrible state. They were already poor, and then Jessie caused them so much trouble. It's just awful." My mum sighed deeply. I smiled indifferently. "What has Jessie done now?" "Not long after you went to London, Jessie crashed a motorbike into an old man without a license. She had to pay £30,000 in compensation to avoid jail. It ruined her family," my dad explained. "I heard the motorbike belonged to some young hooligan, that boyfriend of hers. Disgusting fellow. They're still together. At first, they refused to break up, and now I suppose they're just stuck together. Two rotten people." I raised an eyebrow as I listened. After all these years, Jessie still hadn't left Freddie? She really did love those bad boys. I could cry. "What are they doing now?" I asked curiously. What else could they do? Jessie's older now, finally learned a bit of sense. She started selling things at a market stall to make money, or else they'd starve. That good-for-nothing drinks and gambles. She's supporting him entirely. We don't know the details, and we don't want to know. My parents didn't want to talk about it anymore, saying it brought bad luck. Naturally, I didn't want to hear more either. It was depressing to listen to. The following day, several city officials suddenly came to visit me. I understood the reason. As a taxpayer, all my records were with the Inland Revenue. How could the city leaders not know that I had made a fortune in London? With my annual income of several £1 million and substantial savings, I was a powerhouse, still the city's top achiever. My credentials were impeccable. I was the golden investor that my hometown desperately needed to attract. Sure enough, the officials hoped I would return to invest. They offered me the most favorable loans and the best plots of land. I was also interested in this proposition. Both parties quickly reached an agreement, finalizing a £3 million investment deal. This was exactly my annual income. Lucy was very supportive of my decision. She even arranged for my Maybach to be transported from London. Since you're going to invest in your hometown, you can't walk everywhere. Get a chauffeur to drive you around. It'll look impressive. So I found myself back in the familiar Maybach. The chauffeur was selected from the local residents. One day when I had some free time, I wanted to visit the old street I used to frequent as a child. I asked the chauffeur to drive me there. When we arrived, the crowd was overwhelming. "Mr. Carter, this Kensington Bay is our city's largest trendy street. Besides the shops, there are countless stalls. It's always terribly congested." The chauffeur complained about the traffic. I didn't mind the congestion. It was a perfect opportunity to breathe in the long-missed atmosphere of ordinary life. I deliberately opened the window and started taking photos with my camera. This was my hobby, inspired by Lucy's criticism. She said my photography skills were too abstract, making her look like a Van Gogh painting. So I diligently studied photography techniques, becoming an amateur photographer in my spare time. At that moment, I thought about taking some pictures of my hometown to send to Lucy. I had only taken 2 shots when a woman in gray clothes with disheveled hair suddenly approached, holding flowers and shouting loudly, "Sir, would you like to buy some flowers? For your wife." Her voice was hoarse and grating, like a wilted aubergine after being battered by wind and rain. My finger paused, and I frowned at her. She was overly enthusiastic, forcefully pushing the roses into the car. Sir, buy flowers for your wife. They're really good." The chauffeur had to stop the car for safety reasons and scolded her harshly. "Get away! Who would buy your flowers?" The woman smiled obsequiously. "Just buy a bouquet. They're very nice." I continued to look at her sallow face, at the bruise near her eye, at the marks on her neck. "Jessie, you've become so ugly." I put down my camera, leaned back comfortably in my seat, and quietly observed the flower seller. The chauffeur got out of the car to chase her away. "Are you blind? Do you know who's in the car? Get lost. Please don't be angry, sir. My flowers are really good," Jessie said submissively, still smiling ingratiatingly. The chauffeur, overcome with anger, knocked the flowers out of Jessie's hands. The vibrant rose petals scattered on the ground. "Does Mr. Carter look like someone who would buy flowers? Will you leave or not?" "What rubbish!" The chauffeur was menacing. Jessie finally became scared. She apologized repeatedly and hurriedly bent down to pick up the flowers, looking utterly miserable. People nearby were all pointing and gossiping. Some criticized the chauffeur, saying money doesn't give you the right to bully others. The chauffeur was about to argue back. I sighed and opened the car door to get out. We couldn't let this escalate. It would be bad if it made the news. "Kent, stay in the car." I glared at the driver. He immediately lost his arrogance and obediently got back in the car, now filled with respect. I looked at Jessie Reynolds picking up flowers at my feet and crouched down to help her. The onlookers finally stopped their indignation and curiously observed me. Jessie was overwhelmed, her hands shaking. "Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir." She secretly looked up to see me up close. Earlier, when I was in the car and she was outside, holding a large bouquet of roses, she was too focused on stuffing the flowers inside to really look at me. Now she examined me carefully. We were no more than 4 inches apart. In an instant, she froze as if struck by lightning, her body stiffening, and the flowers she had just picked up scattered again. We stared at each other as if across years of time. It was like many years ago when she woke up in the afternoon, wiping the drool on her desk while glaring at me petulantly. "Calvin Carter, you didn't even help prop me up. My neck hurts from sleeping like that." Or like when we went out on weekends, and she suddenly stared at me on the roller coaster. "Calvin, I think I've wet myself." Even more like when she complained about my gentle boringness, glaring at me angrily. "You're so dull. When will I ever meet a cool, edgy bad boy?" We had made eye contact so many times, but never once because of love. It's fine though, I found a better love now. I smiled gently. All your flowers have fallen. I'll buy them all. Jessie finally came to her senses, her eyes suddenly turning red. She stared at me, at my face, at my clothes, at my hair. Finally, she lowered her head, her entire back trembling, large tears falling silently to the ground. Her throat moved, making an indistinct sound as if she wanted to say something. But before she could say anything, a disheveled, burly man reeking of alcohol rushed over and kicked Jessie. Jessie cried out in pain and fell face first into the mud, knocking out a tooth. You useless woman! What kind of flower seller are you? They're all on the ground. Worthless trash. The burly man cursed loudly, kicking Jessie again. I finally recognized him as Freddie Lloyd. He had gained quite a bit of weight, developing a paunch, and his once handsome face was now full of world weariness and ferocity. He looked like a gangster from a TV drama, the kind who would stab someone after losing a bet. But I wasn't afraid of him. I found him ridiculous. I stood up and quietly observed him. Freddie eyed me suspiciously for a moment, then suddenly recognized me. It's you! Calvin something? Calvin Carter. I told him my name. He looked uncertain, staring at my Patek Philippe watch, then glancing furtively at the nearby Maybach S680, involuntarily swallowing. At this point, the driver, fearing for my safety, hurriedly got out of the car, asking me to get in while he handled the situation. He wasn't afraid of thugs. However, Freddie suddenly put on a fawning expression and voluntarily shook my hand. Mr. Carter, long time no see. You've become a big shot. Eh? Bloody brilliant. That's a Maybach, isn't it? Impressive, truly impressive. Freddie Lloyd's palms were drenched in sweat. He probably hadn't showered in 3 days. I withdrew my hand, still maintaining my composure. Freddie, long time no see. I didn't think I had any murderous intent. But Freddie flinched at my words and unervingly calm gaze. He was guilt-ridden. After all, back then in the loo, he had humiliated me for his own amusement. Mr. Carter, I was wrong, terribly wrong back then. I deserved to die. I was bewitched by this wretched woman. Bloody hell. She's such a slag. Freddie hastily apologized, even kicking Jessie Reynolds. Jessie fell to the ground, seemingly drained of energy. She was crying, suppressing her sobs, both hands covering her face in shame. I glanced at her, then smiled at Freddie. It's fine. I was just passing by. My driver damaged your flowers. I'll compensate you. No need, no need. Freddie bowed and scraped, utterly humbling himself. I turned to get back in the car, casually telling my driver, Kent, give him 50 quid. The driver reluctantly handed over 50 pounds. Freddie took the money, his face flushing with embarrassment, but quickly brightened up. After all, he had money to gamble now. Thank you, Mr. Carter. Thank you so much. Do come by again sometime. Amidst Freddie's fawning and Jessie's crying, the Maybach elegantly drove away. My mood remained calm, though I no longer felt like taking photos. I felt like a knight, with past matters of the mortal world left unspoken. In the evening, after inspecting the new site, I returned home. The house was quite lively. I saw 2 long unseen faces, Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds. They had brought heaps of gifts and were busy flattering my parents. My parents were holding Bert, responding half-heartedly. Seeing me return, Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds immediately stood up to greet me, even bowing. I bore them no ill will and hurried to stop them. Uncle, Auntie, what are you doing? Mrs. Reynolds' tears came readily. Calvin, Jessie suddenly came home. She said she saw you. I suddenly understood. So Jessie had tipped them off. I remained silent and went to hold Bert. Mr. Reynolds carefully began. Calvin, you saw for yourself Jessie's condition. She regrets it deeply. She even wants to end it all. I still said nothing. My mum pursed her lips. Look, old neighbors, just say what you need to say. My son is very busy. The city council is allocating land for his company. Mrs. Reynolds quickly got to the point. Calvin, although my daughter married Freddie Lloyd, they have no children, and she doesn't love Freddie anymore. We were so disappointed in Jessie before that we cut ties with her. She had no choice but to rely on Freddie. Mr. Reynolds added, but Freddie is too cruel. He married Jessie and forced her to earn money for rent and food. Otherwise he'd beat and scold her. Jessie became numb, living each day worse than death, not even knowing how to escape. It was only when she saw you today that she suddenly found the courage to flee back home, saying she was wrong. Both elders had reddened eyes, somewhat heartbroken for their daughter. So, I raised my head slightly. The two exchanged a glance and pleaded in unison. Calvin, could you please see Jessie? She can only rely on you now to get out of this quagmire. The implication was for me to save Jessie. Jessie's body was broken, and so was her mind. Only I could give her a chance to live again. She said she wants to see me? I poured myself a cup of tea. Yes, she's been in a daze since she came back, not eating or drinking. When we ask what's wrong, she just cries. Finally, she said she wants to see you. Mrs. Reynolds took 2 steps closer. When we were coming, she voluntarily went to take a shower, wanting to clean herself up. She really wants to see you. No. Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds left, wiping away their tears. Lucy called me on video chat, saying she had a surprise for me. When I asked what it was, she tilted her head coquettishly and said, I'm not telling you. You'll just have to wait and see. So I waited. In the meantime, I rented an office floor near the land I had invested in. This plot was located in the South City New District and could be developed into a commercial street. I could get a low-interest loan from the city for the subsequent costs. So, I needed to rent an office nearby to serve as my headquarters and recruit staff. Since the office space was originally a commercial office, it didn't take much effort to renovate. As for the rest of the documents and licenses, the city had taken care of everything for me. I now had a company in my hometown with a current staff of 12. I spent my days in the office, planning the company's development and operations while remotely managing the London company. It was comfortable, but somehow word got out that I had returned to start a company, and a group of high school classmates came to visit. They came to my office, enthusiastically calling me boss, and inviting me to attend a class reunion. My gaze passed through them and fell on a woman in a white dress at the back of the group. Jessie Reynolds. She had tied her hair in a high ponytail, and her white dress was neat and clean. Her face was heavily powdered, hiding the ravages of time. If you didn't look closely, she still had some charm. Mr. Carter, Jessie asked us to come. She said it's been a long time since we all got together, so we should have a class reunion for fun, someone explained. All eyes turned to Jessie. Jessie trembled nervously, finally managing to raise her head and attempt a bright smile, though it came out rather stiff. But she did manage to smile. Calvin, we're having a reunion. You should come too. As she spoke, she unconsciously tucked her hair behind her ear, revealing a bruise, which she quickly covered up. I stared at her, at this girl I had loved for 18 years. She was like a withered cotton tree, long since lost its former glory. She was trying to bloom again in the dead of winter, attempting to attract the bees that once adored her. But this cotton tree had long been corrupted by flies. I stood up, asked my secretary to attend to everyone, then beckoned to Jessie. I indicated that she should follow me to talk somewhere private. She was overjoyed, like a child who had been given sweets, and obediently followed me out of the office. We walked to the stairwell. She became nervous again, her cheeks flushed, staring at me without blinking. I didn't want to look at her much, just calmly said, I've already explained to your parents. I don't want to see you. Just leave Freddie and live your life well. There's no need to come looking for me again. Jessie's whole body stiffened, her flushed face instantly turning pale. She took a step back, her spine against the wall, and began to retch. I understood why she was retching. Many years ago, I had retched outside the toilet too. It was a physiological response to extreme heartache. So I didn't comfort Jessie. She nearly broke down, hugging her knees as she crouched down, pleading, Calvin, don't do this to me. I can't take it. I'm sorry, please. I stood with my back to her, gazing out the window at the sky. The sky was blue, reminiscent of the one at Cambridge, the same sky Lucy had once pointed to as we laughed beneath it. Thinking of Lucy brought a smile to my lips, so I offered Jessie one last bit of consideration. Your parents have had it tough. I can help arrange jobs for them, but beyond that, I'm afraid I can't do anything more. What about me? What am I supposed to do? Jessie looked up, her eyes brimming with tears. I've lost everything. I have no qualifications, no skills. I'm damaged goods. What am I supposed to do, Calvin? What can I do? As long as a person wants to live, they'll find a way. No, you know what I want, Calvin. Come back to me, please? I'll divorce Freddie. I just want to be your woman. Jessie's emotions flared up. She even lunged forward and embraced me. Calvin, can't we start over? I know you have a wife and child now, but I don't care. I can be your mistress, your bit on the side. Anything. I pushed her away forcefully, feeling disgusted. Jessie, have some self-respect. She wiped her tears and suddenly yanked at the straps of her dress. The white garment immediately slipped down, exposing large patches of skin. Still fair, but now covered in bruises and scars. Calvin, I love you. I was foolish before. You were never some boring, simple man. So many girls fancied you, and I was too blind to see it. I made a terrible mistake. I'm apologizing to you now. Look at my body, it's still somewhat attractive. Isn't it? Won't you have me? I'll give myself to you right now, please. She rambled on, focused only on removing her dress. But I was reminded of her intimate moment with Freddie at that small inn. A wave of nausea hit me, and I turned to leave. A slender figure approached, coming face to face with me. I froze, because the newcomer was my wife. She was smiling, also wearing a white dress, her hair elegantly pinned up, exuding an air of refined grace. Lucy, what are you doing here? I was both surprised and delighted. Lucy grinned. Didn't I say I'd surprise you? I've come back to have our wedding reception with you, so everyone will know I've married you. She looked a bit smug, her gaze falling on Jessie behind me, showing some bewilderment. Jessie stood rigid, staring blankly at Lucy. Lucy was the moon in the sky, Jessie the grass on the ground. One beautiful and elegant, the other in a state of disgrace. Before Lucy could say anything, Jessie was already unable to look her in the eye. She collapsed to the floor, silently weeping and retching in anguish. Lucy and I finally had our wedding ceremony. City officials came to show their support, making the event lively and bustling. A year later, the commercial street I invested in was on track, becoming the most prosperous market in the South City New District. The London-based cross-border e-commerce company experienced a massive boom, with orders pouring in non-stop. At its peak, we could make £1 million in just one quarter. It seems becoming a millionaire is within reach. Meanwhile, news of Jessie Reynolds arrived after a long silence. She ignited the gas, and in the explosive flames, she perished along with Freddie Lloyd. My mum said Jessie had actually been getting better, especially since I had arranged jobs for her parents. She could have lived a simple life, staying with her parents and relying on them. But she often had fits, crying uncontrollably for no apparent reason. Later, Freddie came back, begging her to return. Surprisingly, she went back, infuriating her parents who decided to wash their hands of her. Freddie then became ruthless, treating Jessie like a slave, tormenting her. As a result, one deep night, Jessie lit the gas, ending both her life and Freddie's. It seems she went back just for this fatal end. Jessie's parents were devastated, unable to face their daughter's death without emotion. Later, when they went to collect Jessie's belongings, they found a letter she had left for me and passed it on. I opened the letter, which was densely filled with words. Calvin, your wife is beautiful. You two are a perfect match. You'll surely be happy together. I often wonder, if I had gone to university with you back then, would my fate have been different? In my dreams, I married you. Really, I regret being so foolish when I was young. Looking back, you were the only one. If there's a next life, I definitely won't leave you. I so wish I could see your gentle smile again. The contents of the letter were scattered, and many words were misspelled. After reading it, I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, silently gazing at the spring sky. This season, the cherry blossoms in the school grounds should be blooming, shouldn't they? Would they be as magnificent and grand as in previous years? Behind me, my wife came over, resting her chin on my shoulder. What are you thinking about? I'm thinking about the cherry blossoms at our alma mater. They're really beautiful. I smiled. Then let's go see them. Come on, we'll take Bert with us, my wife said matter-of-factly. I pondered and agreed. What's there to think about? Flowers bloom and wither, years flow like water. The fallen blossoms have long since decayed, while the blooming ones are still vibrant and beautiful. Let's go and see them.